Translucent, transparent, and opaque materials. What materials allow light to pass through them? Materials can be grouped into three different groups, depending on how much light they allow to pass through them. Let's find out. The first group is transparent, the second one is translucent, and the third is opaque. Transparent materials. We can clearly see through some materials. This is because they allow nearly all the light to pass through them. Such materials are known as transparent materials. An example of a transparent material is clear glass. Translucent materials. We can see through some materials, but not very clearly. This is because they allow some light to pass through them. Such materials are known as translucent materials. An example of a translucent material is frosted glass. Opaque materials. We cannot see through some materials. This is because they do not allow any light to pass through them. Such materials are known as opaque materials. An example of an opaque material is wood. The second part is shadows. How is a shadow formed? A shadow is formed when an object blocks light from passing through it. When light cannot pass through the object, a dark area known as shadow forms behind the object. Light source, ball, shadow, and a screen. When a light source is put through a ball, a shadow of the ball is formed on the screen. Are shadows cast by the same object? The size of shadows can change even when they are cast by the same object. Size of shadows. A large shadow is formed when the toy is close to the light. Smaller shadow is formed when the toy is further away from the light. Tiny shadow is formed when the toy is kept a long way from the light. Properties of light. Chapter 7. How does light travel? Light travels in a straight line. We can show how light travels using a ray diagram. A ray diagram is made of straight lines with arrows. The arrows show the direction in which the light travels. We can draw a ray diagram to show how light travels from a light source to our eyes. The light is shown as straight lines from the source into our eyes. The arrows on the lines show the direction of travel of light. Reflection of light. What is reflection? Reflection is when the light reaches the surface of an object. It bounces off the surface. We call this reflection. When light reflects off a surface, it still travels in a straight line, but in a new direction. Light travels differently on different surfaces. If there is a rough surface, the light travels in all directions. The reflected light rays travel in the same direction if the surface is smooth, and it's called specular reflection. Have you ever thought about how do we see objects? We need light to see the objects. When light reaches our eyes, we are able to see objects. We cannot see anything in the dark room because there is no light reaching our eyes. When we turn on the lights, we can see the light source. That is because light from the light source travels to our eyes. We can see other objects in the room with the help of light source. We can see these objects when light from the light source is reflected off them and reaches our eyes. Words to learn: absorb, take in or soak up by chemical or physical action. Image, a representation of the external form of a person or thing in art. Reflection, it is the process of when the incident ray that falls on the surface is reflected back. It is known as the reflected ray, and this process is known as reflection. Surface, the outside part or uppermost layer of something. You know that when light reflects off an object into our eyes, we see the object. Some surfaces, the top layer that is next to the air, are much better at reflecting light than other surfaces. Mirrors. A smooth, shiny surface is very good at reflecting light. A mirror has a smooth, shiny surface. When you see your face in a mirror, you're seeing light from your face being reflected off the mirror. We call the reflection of your face in the mirror your image. Look at the pictures on this page. Discuss how these mirrors help people to see objects they couldn't see without a mirror. When driving, the way we perceive objects in the convex mirror is influenced by the mirror's design and the physics of light. Let me explain. This is usually a convex mirror with some words inscribed on it that say something like, objects in mirror are closer than they appear. The image formed by the convex mirror is actually an erect, diminished virtual image, and it appears just a few inches behind the surface of the mirror. The object is much further away than it appears to be. The reason that the outside mirror on the passenger side is convex is to give the driver a large field of view, so that gives us an opportunity to think about the field of view of an optical system. Do some surfaces reflect light better than others? Arun can see himself in the mirror. The mirror reflects his image back to him. Marcus can't see himself in the wooden chopping board. The wooden surface absorbs light. It takes the light in and does not reflect it. All objects reflect light or absorb light. A piece of paper, for example, is smooth and flat. However, if you looked at a piece of paper under a microscope, you would see something like the picture below. Notice that the paper actually contains lots of bumps. The microscope makes everything look bigger, and you can see the bumps that are not seen with your naked eyes. Because its surface is not completely smooth, a paper absorbs a lot more than it reflects. Words to learn. Asteroid. An asteroid is a minor planet, an object that is neither a true planet nor a comet, that orbits within the inner solar system. They are rocky, metallic, or icy bodies with no atmosphere. The size and shape of asteroids vary significantly, ranging from small rubble piles under a kilometer across to Ceres, a dwarf planet almost 1,000 kilometers in diameter. Orbit. In celestial mechanics, an orbit, also known as orbital revolution, is the curved trajectory of an object, such as trajectory of a planet around a star. or of a natural satellite around a planet, or of an artificial satellite around an object or position in space, such as a planet, moon, or asteroid. Closest. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. Comet. A comet is an icy, small solar system body that warms and begins to release gases when passing close to the Sun, a process called outgassing. Solar system. We call it the solar system because it is made up of our star, the Sun, and everything bound to it by the gravity. Spacecraft. A spacecraft is a vehicle or machine designed to fly in outer space. Furthest. At or by the great distance. Used to indicate how far one thing or person is or becomes distant from another. Planets are far from each other. The Sun is our source of light. The spacecraft Galileo 2. The Sun is shining because it is a star. The Sun lights up half of the Earth and the Moon facing it. The photograph shows us the Moon and the Earth are surrounded by black, empty space. Sun is shining because it is a star. The Sun lights up half of the Earth and the Moon facing it. Earth is a planet. Planets reflect the light of the Sun. Orbits. Look at the diagram of Sun, Earth and the Moon. The Earth and the Moon are constantly moving in space. The Moon orbits go around the Earth and the Earth orbits the Sun. The Moon takes 29 days or 1 month to complete its orbit around the Earth. The Earth takes 365 and a quarter days or 1 year to complete its orbit around the Sun. In space there are many stars. Each of these stars give out light. This is why we can see stars in the night sky. Light from these stars travel to Earth and enter our eyes. Our solar system. The solar system, which means the Sun and the planets, moon, asteroids and comets, which move around it, is enormous. The diagram of the solar system shown here is a model. All distances and sizes are much smaller than the real thing. Do you notice that the planets that are closest, nearest to the Sun have smaller orbits than the planets further from the Sun? Planets that are closer to the Sun than the Earth take less than an Earth year to orbit the Sun. Planets that are further from the Sun than Earth take more than an Earth year to orbit the Sun. There are also asteroids, moons, and comets in the solar system. Asteroids. Asteroids are rocky masses that orbit the Sun. They are similar to the planets but are much smaller. At the moment, scientists have identified 781,692 asteroids. Nearly all of them are in asteroid belt between the planets Mars and Jupiter. Moons. Moons orbit planets and asteroids. Earth has one moon, Mars has two moons. This photograph shows Titania. It is the largest of the moons of planet Uranus, and the eighth largest moon in the solar system. Comets. Comets are lumps of ice and dirt which move in large orbits around the Sun. Many comets are beyond the planets at the edge of the solar system. Comets have long tails behind them.